Okay, welcome back to part 3. What we're going to do now is we're going to add a layer mask and do some neat fading effects. And then we're going to get into creating a nice brush, custom brush, and add some snow to this picture. Okay, so let's do our little mask first. Okay, what a mask does is what it sounds like. It masks part of a layer so that nothing you do will affect it, and it leaves other parts of it so you can affect it. We need to do this this cool fading effect. Okay, so make sure your rectangle 1 layer is still active. That means you can see it's blue and the other one's not selected. We're now going to add a layer mask. So if we go down to the bottom, you see this little thing that's a little rectangle with a hole in it, and it says add I can't even talk. Add layer mask. Click on that. And if you look at the picture, nothing's happened. But if you come over to the layer, you can see this big mask has been added. Okay, now when we change this mask, where there is black in the mask, nothing can get through that. But where there is white and gray, we'll be able to see a change in the image. Okay, so what we're going to use the gradient tool. Yeah, probably what I said didn't make too much sense. It didn't even sound intelligent to me either. Okay, that's okay. Come on over to your tools. You see this thing here? This is the gradient tool. You click on this. This takes 2 colors. You can see up here. It takes 2 colors and it fades them into each other. It starts here, red, it goes to black, and then in the middle it's black-red. Okay. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line, and it's going to apply this gradient to this mask. Okay, so watch what happens if I start over here on the right, and I go to the middle. It applies this mask, and you can see right here, the white part and the gray part is you still see this this light granite thing, but where it's black, you don't see anything. Now, if I drag this further, you can see there's more white and more gray. If I start at the top and go down, works that way. If I go diagonally, it works diagonally. So now what I suggest is starting on the right and going, we want to go past the middle, but we don't want to go all the way, because if we go all the way, then there's no fade that happens. See how the white is just as strong? So if we start on the right and we go, let's try 3/4. That's pretty good, but I want a little bit more of a fade. Okay, let's start on the right and go, how about we just go to the skier? Okay, see, that's nice. See, it's nice and dark white over here, but it's fading as we get over here to the snowflake. When I say here, just look at wherever the cursor is where I'm pointing at. My mind is pointing to. So if you like that, great. If you don't, I mean, you can do this thing however you like, is whatever you like. Okay, this is your picture. Cool. So that looks good. Now let's talk about brush tips. There's a couple of different brush tips that were added in CS6. There's something called an erodible one, which is kind of cool. It breaks down like a real brush would. But we don't care about that one. I'm just mentioning that to mention it. The other brush that was added was called an airbrush. And airbrushes are cool. They rely on a stream of air to shoot paint onto a surface. So we're going to use an airbrush to create snow blowing off the back of this skier. You can see there's a little bit back here. We'll add a little bit more, and hopefully it will look good. Okay, let's select the background layer. You come over to the right, click on that background layer. This way, when we add a new layer, it'll add it right above it. Okay, now we're going to add a new layer. Now, if you come down to the bottom here and you click new layer, it'll add the new layer. But we want to actually rename it, so it's a little bit quicker. If we hold the Alt key down and then click this Create a New Layer button, watch what happens. It actually opens up a dialog box. And we can say, what this new layer is. We're going to put certain airbrush strokes into this. So we'll just name this layer Strokes. We'll say OK. And you can see now it's the active layer. It's blue, and it's got the name Strokes. You could have done the same thing. You could have pressed this and then right-clicked here and said Rename. So there's always a bunch of ways to do something in software. Okay. Now, the next thing we want to do is we're going to create a brush. So let's come over here to the left, and you can see right under the Band-Aid is a paintbrush, and it says Brush Tool. Okay, click it. So there's our brush tool. Now this is just a normal brush. That doesn't help us. We need a cool airbrush. So let's turn on the brush panel. If you go up to Window and come down to Brush, this very nice panel appears. And by the way, if you bring this up and everything is gray, it means you forgot to press the brush button. So this only lights up when the brush button is lit. Okay, now what we need is there's an airbrush brush that has an 80 underneath it. So if you scroll down, we just need to find that. It's a little bit more than halfway down. You can see right here, I've been playing with it, so it has a little box around it. Yours wouldn't have a box around it. But you can see it says 80, and then it has the little airbrush thing. So I click on that, and now I have an airbrush. Now take a look down here. This is what my airbrush tool will look like. So this is a really neat little preview window down here. Now, all the different things that you can do with the airbrush, you can alter hardness, distortion, granularity, splatter size, splatter amount, and spacing, and just play with it a little. Take a look at what it does. If we move the hardness, okay, if we play with the distortion, if we mess with the granularity, you can see it becomes a solid blob. The splatter size makes these great big shiny blobs rather than tiny blobs. Splatter amount, okay, lots, little, and then the spacing. And if you space it too much, you can see that there's almost nothing. That's pretty useful. Cool. And if you play with these things, you can see. Well, this red is probably not a good thing, is it? It kind of looks like he's bleeding out. Maybe there was a zombie attack or something on the mountain. Anyway, yeah, we'll fix that red. Obviously we don't want red snow. That's not a good idea. Okay, when you have finished playing with all of this, you can select all of the stuff you played with and delete it. If you select all, and then I just press the delete key on my keyboard. Make sure you're not pressing the backspace key, you Mac users. Okay, here's the delete key, and that goes away. All right, now we are ready to move forward to try to do this properly. Now, first of all, the red, this is our foreground color. It's set to red at the moment, and the background color is set to black. Now, that's just me because I was playing with it. I don't know what yours is set to. It might be set to black and white. But what I want to do is I want to restore the defaults. I could press this little key that says default foreground and background color. I could also hit the D. So hit the D. You can see it goes back to black and white. Now to switch these, to get white in the front, I could hit this little switch button, switch foreground and background color, and see the little X, or I could press the X. And whammo, bammo. We've done it. Now the reason I show you, like I said, the reason I show you more than one way of doing things is when we take this Photoshop exam, you know, I'm not sure how they're going to ask you stuff. So it's good to have heard about multiple ways of doing things. Very nice. Now, let's reset our airbrush. If you come back up here to the brush thing and you find your 80 and your brush and you click on it, notice it resets your airbrush back to all the defaults. Hardness, distortion, blah, blah, blah. Now, a pretty good setting for creating this snow is changing your hardness to 5, changing your distortion to 0, changing your granularity to 45, change your spatter size to 15, change your spatter amount to 50, and change your spacing to 25. And you can see if you look down in here, this is nice. It's a nice little, looks like snow flying all around. So that looks kind of cool. One other thing we want to do is we want to go up to our options. Remember our options bar. Oh, you're learning so much stuff. Isn't this cool? Aren't you happy? And we want to change our flow to 25. This is how much paint comes out of our little airbrush. One other thing we want to do is we want to see this little thing here? It says enable airbrush style buildup effects. Okay, we want that turned on. And wait, did I just turn it off? Yeah, I just turned it off. It was already on. Okay, so make sure it's white, it's turned on. And what that does is if you hold the airbrush down in one spot, the color will build up, just like a real airbrush would do that. Okay. Now, let's do some painting here. Oh, that's my cat. Hello, cat. All right. This is not looking as really cool as I thought it would look. Yeah. Hello, kitty cat. How are you? Okay. Well. Anyway, there's a bunch of snow flying around. I'm not sure how marvelous that looks. But anyway, you learned how to do it. maybe you wanna play with it some more. What if we turn the flow back up to 100? You know, it kind of looks a little bit better. If I undo some of these things, if I do Control-Alt-Z, I can undo a bunch of these things I've done. I'm just hitting Control-Alt-Z over and over and over again. And let's take our flow maybe to, I don't know, 60, 70%. I think maybe it looks a little better. All right, so that's nice. Cool. Cat, get off my computer. Oh my gosh. Ow, she's laying on my computer. All right, back up, kitty. Okay. Now, we like our brush. Let's say we like our brush, even though I don't really like it that much. We're going to save it. If you come down over here into your brush section, and you see this little white piece of paper, it looks just like create a new layer. This is create a new something in anything, you know. This is create a new brush. So I click here, and I will label this airbrush snow. Okay, and say okay. And now it has created this new brush for me. Cat. Okay, and if I want to see this brush, by the way, if I come to Brush Presets and I go all the way down the bottom, I can see this custom brush that I have created called Airbrush Snow. Isn't that nice? Okay, we'll come back to my brush. Okay, so we have altered our file a little bit more. It's starting to look pretty good. You can see now how this fade effect works. And if you want to go back and alter it some more, or move the snowflake or whatever, you can do that. Okay, let's save our file. File, hello, where are you? File save. And it just overwrites where the file was. And that is lesson 3. Good job, everyone. And come back for lesson 4.